Cantos 16 to 18 of Book 3 of the Ramayana of Valmiki, translated by Ralph D. Griffith. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Om123. Canto 16. Winter. While there the high-souled hero spent his tranquil hours in sweet content, the glowing autumn passed, and then came winter, so beloved of man. One morn to bathe, at break of day, to the fair stream he took his way. Behind him with the Maithil dame, bearing a pitcher, Lakshman came. And as he went the mighty man thus to his brother chief began. The time is come, to thee more dear than all the months that mark the year, the gracious season's joy and pride, by which the rest are glorified. A robe of weary rhyme is spread over earth with corn engarlanded. The streams we loved no longer please, but near the fire we take our ease. Now pious men to God and shade offer young corn's fresh sprouted blade, and purge away their sin's sweet rise, bestowed in humble sacrifice. Rich stores of milk delight the swain, and hearts are cheered that longed for gain. Proud kings, whose breasts for conquests glow, lead bannered troops to smite the foe. Dark is the north, the lord of day, to Yama's south has turned away, and she, sad widow, shines no more, reft of the bridal mark she wore. Himalaya's hill, ordained of old, the treasure house of frost and cold, scarce conscious of the feebler glow, is truly now the lord of snow. Warmed by the noontide's genial rays, delightful are the glorious days, but how we shudder at the chill of evening shadows and the real. How weak the sun, how cold the breeze, how white the rime on grass and trees. The leaves are sere, the woods have lost their blossoms killed by nipping frost. 'Neath open skies we sleep no more, December's nights with rime are hoar. Their triple watch in length extends, with hours the shortened daylight lends. No more the moon's sun-borrowed rays are bright, involved in misty haze, as, one upon the mirror's sheen, the breadth's obscuring cloud is seen. Even at the full the faint beams fail to struggle through the darksome veil. Changed like a hue, they want grace that parts not yet from Sita's face. Cold is the western wind, but how its piercing chill is heightened now, blowing at every morning twice, as furious with its breath of ice. See how the dewy tears they weep, the barley, wheat, and woodland steep, where as the sun goes up the sky, the curlew and the sardas cry. See where the rice pound scars uphold their full ears tinged with pearly gold, bending their ripe heads slowly down, fair as the date tree's flowery crown. Though now the sun has mounted high, seeking the forehead of the sky, such mist obscures his struggling beams, no bigger than the moon he seems. Though weak at first, his rays at length grow pleasant in their noonday strength, and where awhile they chance to fall, fling a faint splendor over all. See, over the woods where grass is wet, with weary drops that cling there yet, with soft light clothing earth and bough, there steals a tender glory now. Yon elephant who longs to drink, still standing on the river's brink, plucks back his trunk in shivering haste from the cold wave we fain would taste. The very fowl that haunt the mere stand doubtful on the bank and fear to dip them in the wintry wave, as cowards dread to meet the brave. The frost of night and the rime of dawn bind flowerless trees and glades of lawn, benumbed in the pathetic chill of icy chains they slumber still. You hear the hidden Sada's cry from floods that wrapped in vapor lie, and frosty shining sands reveal where the unnoticed rivers steal. The very rime of dewy night, and suns that glow with tempered light, lend fresh cool flavors to the rill that sparkles from the topmost hill. The cold has killed the lily's pride, leaf, filament, and flower have died. With chilling breath rude winds have blown, the withered stalk is left alone. At this gay time, O noblest chief, the faithful Bharat, worn by grief, lives in the royal town where he spends weary hours for love of thee. From titles, honour, kingly sway, from every joy he turns away. Couched on cold earth, his days are passed with scanty fare and hermit's fast. This moment from his humble bed he lifts, perhaps, his weary head, and guarded by many a follower goes to bathe where silver Sarayu flows. How, when the frosty morn is dim, shall Sarayu be about for him, nursed with all love and tender care, so delicate and young and fair? How bright his hue, his brilliant eye, with the broad lotus leaf may vie! By fortune stamped for happy fate, his graceful form is tall and straight. In duty skilled, his words are truth, he proudly rules its last of youth. Though his strong arm smites down the foe, in gentle speech his accents flow. Yet every joy has he resigned, and cleaves to thee with heart and mind. Thus by the deeds that he has done, a name in heaven has Bharat won. For in his life he follows yet thy steps, O banished anchoret. Thus faithful Bharat, nobly wise, the proverb of the world belies. No man by mother's guidance led, the footsteps of their fathers tread. How could Kaikeyi, blessed to be spouse of the king our sire, and see a son like virtuous Bharat blot her glory with so foul a plot? Thus in fraternal love he spoke, and from his lips reproaches broke. But Rama grieved to hear him chide the absent mother, and replied, Cease, O beloved, cease to blame our royal father's second dame. Still speak of Bharat first in place of old Ikshaku's princely race. My heart, so firmly bent but now to dwell in woods and keep my vow, half melting as I hear thee speak of Bharat's love, grows soft and weak. With tender joy I bring to mind his speeches ever sweet and kind, that dear as Amrit took the sense with most enchanting influence. Ah, when shall I, no more to part, meet Bharat of the mighty heart? When, O my brother, when shall we the good and brave Shatrugna see? Thus as he poured his fond lament, the son of Raghu onward went. They reached the river, and the tree bathed them in fair Godavari. Libations of the stream they paid to every deity and shade, with hymns of praise the sun on high, and sinless gods to glorify. Fresh from the purifying tide, resplendent Rama came, with Lakshman ever by his side, and the sweet Maital dame. So Rudra shines by walls adored, in glory undefiled, when Nandi stands beside his lord, and King Himalaya's child. Canto 17. Surpnakha. The bathing and the prayer were over. He turned him from the grassy shore, and with his brother and his spouse sought his fair home beneath the boughs. Sita and Lakshman by his side, on to his cot the hero hied, and, after rites at morning dew, within the leafy shade withdrew. Then, honoured by the devotees, as royal Rama sat at ease, with Sita near him over his head, a canopy of green boughs spread. He shone as shines the Lord of Night, by Chitra's side, his dear delight. With Lakshman there he sat and told sweet stories of the days of old, and as the pleasant time he spent, with heart upon each tale intent. A giantess, by fancy led, came wandering to his leafy shed. Fair Surpnakha, how of yore the 10 nectarians' mother bore, saw Rama with his noble mien, bright as the gods in heaven are seen. Him from whose brow a glory gleamed, like lotus lips his full eyes beamed. Long-armed of elephantine gait, with hair close coiled in hermit plait, in youthful vigour nobly framed, by glorious marks a king proclaimed. Like some bright lotus lustrous-hued, with young Kandharpa's grace endued, as there like Indra's self he shone, she loved the youth she gazed upon. She, grim of eye and foul of face, loved his sweet glance and forehead's grace. She of unlovely figure, him of stately form and shapely limb. She, whose dim locks disordered hung, him, whose bright hair on high brows clung. She, whose fierce accents counselled fear, him, whose soft tones were sweet to hear. She, whose dire form with age was dried, him, radiant in his youthful pride. She, whose false lips maintained their wrong, him in the words of virtue strong. She, cruel-hearted, stained with sin, him, just in deed and pure within. She, hideous fiend, a thing to hate, him, formed each eye to captivate. Fierce passion in her bosom woke, and thus to Raghu's son she spoke. With matted hair above thy brows, with bow and shaft and this thy spouse, how hast thou sought in hermit dress the giant-haunted wilderness? What dost thou here? The cause explain. Why art thou come, and what to gain? As Surpnakha questioned so, Rama, the terror of the foe, in answer to the monster's call, with fearless candour told her all. King Dasarath reigned of old, like God celestial, brave and bold. I am his eldest son and heir, and Rama is the name I bear. This brother Lakshman, younger born, most faithful love to me has sworn. My wife this princess, dear to fame, is Sita, the Videhan dame. Obedient to my sire's behest, and by the queen my mother pressed, to keep the law and merit win, I sought this wood to harbour in. But speak, for I of thee in turn, thy name and race and sire would learn. Thou art of giant race, I ween, changing at will thy form and mien. Speak truly, and the cause declare that bids thee to these shades repair. Thus Rama spoke, the demon heard, and thus replied by passion spurred. Of giant race, what form soever my fancy wills, it is mine to wear. Named Surpanakha, here I stray, and where I walk, spread wild dismay. King Ravan is my brother, fame has taught perchance his dreaded name. Strong Kumbhakaran slumbering deep, in chains of never-ending sleep, vivition of the duteous mind, in deeds unlike his giant kind. Dushan and Kara, brave and bold, whose fame by every tongue is told. Their might by mine is far surpassed, but when, O best of man, I cast these fond eyes on thy form, I see my chosen love and Lord in thee. Endowed with wondrous might am I, wherever my fancy leads I fly. The poor misshapen Sita leave, and me thy worthier bride receive. Look on my beauty and prefer a spouse more meet than one like her. I'll eat that ill-formed omen there, thy brother too her fate shall share. But come, beloved, thou shalt roam with me through all our woodland home. Each varied grove with me shalt seek, and gaze upon each mountain peak. As thus she spoke, the monster gazed with sparkling eyes where passion blazed. Then he, in law of language learned, this answer eloquent returned. Canto 18. The Mutilation. On her, ensnared in Kama's net, his eyes the royal Rama set, and thus, her passion to beguile, addressed her with a gentle smile. I have a wife, behold her here, my Sita, ever true and dear, and one like thee will never brook upon a rival spouse to look. But there my brother Lakshman stands, unchained is he by nuptial bands, a youth heroic, loved of all, gracious and gallant, fair and tall, with winning looks most nobly bred, unmatched till now he longs to wed. Meet to enjoy thy youthful charms, O take him to thy loving arms. Enamoured on his bosom lie, fair damsel of the radiant eye, as the warm sunlight loves to rest upon her darling Meru's breast. The hero spoke, the monster heard, while passion still her bosom stirred. Away from Rama's side she broke, and thus in turn to Lakshman spoke. Come, for thy bride take me who shine in fairest grace that suits with thine. Thou by my side, from grove to grove of Dandak's wild in bliss shalt rove. Then Lakshman, skilled in soft address, wooed by the amorous giantess, with art to turn her love aside, to Surpnakha thus replied. And can so high a dame agree the slave wife of a slave to be? I, lotus youth, in good and ill, am bondsman to my brother's will. Be thou, fair creature radiant eyed, my honoured brother's younger bride. With faultless tint and dainty limb, a happy wife bring joy to him. He from his spouse, grown old and grey, deformed, untrue, will turn away. Her withered charms will gladly leave, and to his fair young darling cleave. For who could be so fond and blind, O loveliest of all female kind, to love another dame and slight thy beauties rich in all delight? Thus Lakshman praised in scornful jest the long-toothed fiend with loathly breast, who fondly heard his speech, nor knew his mocking words were aught but true. Again, inflamed with love, she fled to Rama in his leafy shade, where Sita rested by his side, and to the mighty victor cried, What, Rama, canst thou blindly cling to this old false misshapen thing? Wilt thou refuse the charms of youth for withered breast and grinning tooth? Canst thou this wretched creature prize, and look on me with scornful eyes? This aged crone, this very hour, before thy face will I devour, then joyous, from all rivals free, through Dandak will I stray with thee. She spoke, and with a glance of flame rushed on the fawn-eyed metal dame, so the horrid meteor mar fair Rohini's soft beaming star. But as the furious fiend drew near, like death's dire news which chills with fear, the mighty chief her purpose stayed, and spoke his brother to upbraid. Never should we jest with creatures rude, of savage race and wrathful mood. Think, Lakshman, think how nearly slain my dear Videhan breathes again. Let not the hideous wretch escape without a mark to mar her shape. Strike, Lord of Man, the monstrous fiend, deformed and foul and evil-meined. He spoke, then Lakshman's wrath rose high, and there before his brother's eye he drew that sword which none could stay, and cleft her nose and ears away. Noseless and earless, torn and maimed, with fearful shrieks the fiend exclaimed, and frantic in her wild distress, resought the distant wilderness. Deformed, terrific, huge and dread, as on she moved, her gashes bled, and groan succeeded groan as loud as roars ere rain the thunder cloud. Still on the fearful monster passed, while streams of blood kept falling fast, and with a roar and arms outspread, within the boundless wood she fled. To Janastan the monster flew, fierce Khara there she found, with chieftains of the giant crew, in thousands ranged around. Before his awful feet she bent, and fell with piercing cries, as when a bolt in swift descent comes flashing from the skies. There for a while, with senses dazed, silent she lay and scared. At length her drooping head she raised, and all the tale declared. How Rama, Lakshman, and the dame had reached that lonely place, then told her injuries and shame, and showed her bleeding face. End of Cantos 16, 17, and 18.